This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba for another technical diving tips, techniques, and trips video. Hello divers, thanks for joining me today. The subject of today's video is our recent Bonaire technical diving trip report. The primary objective of this trip was to instruct a TDI Advanced Trimix diver course. We were originally scheduled to teach this course in Dahab, Egypt, but due to the activity going on over there, we replaced that location with Bonaire. And instructing this particular course in Bonaire than Egypt is significantly different, so I'm going to talk about some of the issues that we had instructing this particular course in Bonaire. As we have in the past for our back gas Trimix mixtures and our O2, we use the Area 9 Mastery Diving Center run by Mr. G. They have now completed their blending and fill station, and it is quite impressive. For our air travel gas and our low O2 32% deco gases, we use Dive Friends, and in particular the Port Bonaire facility. The Port Bonaire Dive Friends facility had quite a few DIN tanks, so we did not need to use any of our DIN adapters, which we usually bring on a trip like this. We also used our unlimited nitrox package to conduct the few recreational dives that we were able to conduct. Due to some unfavorable wind conditions and a small injury by one of the divers, we limited ourselves to 3 dive sites. The first one was Yellow Submarine, which is downtown. And then the second site that we went to was the cliff where Cooper's Barge is located. And then our third primary site was Windsock down near the airport. What these 3 sites have in common is, first, easy truck access to the water. You do not want to have to walk too far with your set of doubles. The second feature is a manageable entry into the water with a set of doubles. This includes either a cement walkway or a sand chute. Many sites in Bonaire have an iron shore ledge, which makes it very difficult to enter with a set of doubles. An example of this is the Hilma Hooker Wreck site. The third consideration is the ability to easily stage tanks. We generally have one diver enter the water with doubles, and the other divers start bringing in the deco tanks. Once they're in the water, they're handed off to the diver already with the doubles, and then they go back to get their doubles. This works best if the dive site has some relatively shallow area where the divers that are in the water can stand while they're waiting for the remaining tanks to reach the water. The same basic principle applies for divers who are side mounting. This prevents any one diver from having to get into the water with a large number of tanks at one time. Unfortunately, there was a wind reversal during the trip, which prevented us from using 2 very desirable dive sites for this type of training, which was Oil Slick Leap and also the Rock. The Rock was the site near where we did the 100-meter technical dive last year. This is documented in video 97. On every technical dive trip, I like to learn something new. This could be the testing of a new piece of equipment, or refining the equipment we have, or perhaps even a new diving technique. So what we're going to do next is talk about some of the things that we learned on this particular trip. On this trip, I put the Altama Maritime 8-inch assault boot to the final sand test. This product was last reviewed in video 166. In that video, the boot was subjected to only limited sand intrusion tests. After a week of continuous use, I can conclude that the boot does let sand in, particularly during swirling sand entries and exits. The good news is that the amount of sand that did enter the boot was so insignificant that I did not notice it during the day and only discovered the minor sand intrusion when I was cleaning the boot out after the end of the day's diving. The boot also provides significant support in the sometimes uneven entry on rocks, so this boot can easily retain its A+ rating. One of the things we always try to do on our technical diving trips is to bring our own decompression cylinder rigging kits. And that does not mean to say that you can't go somewhere and the rigging kits they have are not going to be good. But what it does mean is if you can do this, that you're going to have the same rigging kit on your bottles all the time. So if you bring your own rigging kit, we think that one of the important things is to use a conventional tank band like this versus a hose clamp like this. And in particular, in a diving location like Bonaire, where you will be using different tanks and you'll be switching your tanks out maybe once or twice a day, it is far more convenient and faster to use a conventional tank band than it is to use any kind of hose clamp. Unfortunately, most of the rigging kits that you will see that are purchased as a package are going to use a hose clamp like this because it's cheaper. And we do use these hose clamps, but they're for situations where we're at our local area here, and the tank is not going to be changed out. It's going to be refilled versus being changed out. So whenever we have that situation, we find that the conventional tank band works much better than the hose clamp. Two items that really helped us with the decompression tanks was a tether, and this is commonly used to keep contact with your buddy. But what we used it for was to enable each individual diver to enter the water and put their decompression tanks and their travel gas tanks on to something. In this case, in the case of one situation, one dive was a pier that we had. So there was some area there, some slats, and you could just put this through there and hang the line like that, and then you could come back and attach all of your decompression tanks and travel gas tanks to the pier, and then go back in the water a second time with your set of back-mounted doubles, and then put your decompression and travel gas tanks on individually. In the cases where we needed to stage the tanks, there wasn't anything to attach the tanks to, and we shuttled the tanks in and had people hold the tanks while other people got into their back-mounted doubles. The dog leash became very useful to try to handle 3 tanks, 2 decompression tanks and a travel gas tank is very burdensome. But if you've got a leash like this, you can actually attach all of them to the leash and then secure the tanks very easily by just holding on to the handle of the dog leash while other people are getting into the water. So these 2 items made entering the water, the use of the decompression and travel gas tanks much easier than they would be if you did not have something like this. And of course, these are multi-use. This can be used for other things, like I said, as a buddy tether, and then this can also be used to trail a tank, and in the event that you're going to be doing a bottle rotation. One of the things about conducting an Advanced Trimix course is that you're going to have at least 2 decompression cylinders and a travel gas cylinder or a stage cylinder. And so with all those cylinders, particularly if they're aluminum 80s, there is a significant shift in your center of buoyancy with the 280s and perhaps 380s, or 280s and 1 AL40. And so your trim is going to be significantly different between not having any tanks and having those 5 tanks on you. So you have to make sure that your weight is put in the correct position so that you have proper trim. And also the trim will vary slightly as you start depleting the gas in both your back gas tanks and your decompression and travel gas tanks. So you have to spend a little bit of time adjusting your weights. I have been for many years been using what I call a weight bar, and I have successfully again used this on our recent trip. This fits between the studs with these holes, fits between the studs on the set of manifolded doubles. One of our other divers did have one of these, but he ended up loading into another diver, and so what he found out was that due to the design of the wing that he had, that even having weights around his waist belt were not sufficient. They did not have enough leverage in order to correct his trim. He was had very negative trim. So what that particular diver ended up doing was having to use 2 tank bands, one on each tank, and he actually had to have 8 pounds on each one of the cylinders. So he was diving with 16 pounds, which is not particularly unusual in salt water with a 3mm wetsuit. But he had to have these down on the bottom of his tank in order to get good trim, given the fact that he was carrying the 2 AL80s and also an AL40 for the dive. So one of the things that you may find yourself doing is spending a bit of time getting the correct trim in order to do a deeper dive with 2 back gas tanks or 2 side mount tanks and a total of 3 other stage, travel, or decompression tanks. So those are a few things that I wanted to share in this technical diving trip report. We will be conducting another Advanced Trimix course in Bonaire in December, and then another one in Egypt in Dahab in late July and early August of next year. This is Chris with Dive Zone Scuba. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.